All right, looks like we're live. Let me just make sure everything's loaded up here, folks. We got to wait for it. I got to see it. YouTube, you up? YouTube's here. YouTube's dancing. YouTube, what's up? Good to see you. Good morning, YouTube, / good afternoon, whatever it is. Rockfin, you're slow. There's Rockfin. Rockfin's there. It's a little slower, but it's here. And of course, Twitter is up. Twitter's always first. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. If you're in a morning time, it's morning where I'm at, and to everyone listening to the podcast later, what's up? Hope you're well. Leave us a 5-star review, would you? That'd be awesome. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the headline show of the week, where we go through some of the news that's happening that I deem worth sharing. And we got some important stuff, actually. And we got a little bit of good news. There's a little bit of good news. Take comfort in that, folks. Take comfort. There is a little bit of good news. But helping me get through it today. You know her. She's a regular on the show. She ran for Congress, and she's crushing it on TikTok, along with doing other awesome activist things. And her and I have some stuff going on that hopefully we're going to be able to make some amazing announcements about very, very soon. But welcome back to the show, Lauren Ashcraft. Lauren, go ahead and unmute yourself. I can't unmute you because there you go. What's up?
Hey, great to be back. Hey, everyone.
So, can we talk about I'm a little envious of your plans tonight.
Yes, these have been my plans for like 2 years and waiting. So a while ago, before the pandemic was a thing, we got Rage Against the Machine tickets. And that those plans changed when the pandemic hit heights while vaccines weren't available. So they pushed them to
the
tonight.
original show was like
2020.
Like it's not like in 2020 you got tickets for a show tonight.
Right.
It was rescheduled. Okay, I just wanted to make sure on that because I wasn't clear. I was like, was Rage Against the Machine touring in 2020, or was it like they were really like planned in advance? But and you are 8 months pregnant.
I am.
Which, by the way, we'll mention this real quick too. Lauren asked if I could hear her air conditioner. I can't. But if any of y'all can hear it, she's 8 months pregnant, so you're just going to have to deal with it. You're just going to have to deal with a little air conditioning noise. What are you going to do? I turned my fan off. I did do that, but I'm not 8 months pregnant. If I was 8 months pregnant, my freaking fan would be on. I guarantee you. So,
oh my gosh. Well, let me know if it's like super annoying for you listeners.
I can't hear it at all. I can't
Perfect.
hear
it. Okay, good. I have a remote here. So
nice.
if it gets really bad, let me know. But yeah, so I was really nervous about being very pregnant at a Rage Against the Machine concert because I don't think it's like going to the symphony and like sitting there with your like hands crossed and I don't know, whatever. So I called Madison Square Garden, which is the location of the concert tonight, and I was like, hey, I didn't expect to be like a ball. An 8 month pregnant ball tonight. So I'm just wondering, is there anything we can do to make sure that I'm in, I don't know, the best seating available to make sure that I'm not in a mosh pit? And they actually, I'm so glad for the accessibility at Madison Square Garden, and I hope this is the case at like any other major stadium, but they actually moved us to a section of our own where I will sit in a chair. A very uncool way to watch Rage Against the Machine, but I will sit peacefully in a chair and watch my favorite band that I've been waiting to see since I've understood what music is. So I'm very excited.
So first of all, that's a really awesome story. And I also love like I just picture you calling customer service and be like, how can we help you? Well, I'm a ball. Let's start there.
Yes.
But I will say, I actually think there's going to be a lot of people sitting at that show. I know it's Rage Against the Machine, but let's keep in mind, it's not like 1996 anymore, and we're not in middle school anymore. And it's like, I feel like,
and the people who were like original fans are at least in their 30s.
So at least, you're going to see, you're going to see a little bit of everything because they've definitely been, passed out. So you're going to see some Zoomers there. You're going to see, but you're definitely going to see a lot of people who have been with them for years, who are like 40s, 50s, and definitely 30s. And
my knees hurt.
Yeah, we're sitting. A couple years ago, my wife and I we took my younger cousin and his then girlfriend. I don't think it worked out. I think they broke up, but we took them to punk rock bowling in Vegas. And I
Whoa.
was really, I mean, it was a great show, but man, I was kind of like just feeling my age and feeling the generational difference because, he was under 21 at the time and she was a few months older than him. So she had her 21st birthday. So she did the whole slipping the wristband on his hand, like, "Oh, I lost my booze wristband. Can I get another one?" "Sure, young lady." And then she slipped the other one on his hand.
So
And
funny.
oh yeah, and then they were like just running around. This was like Las Vegas in August. So my wife and I were like, "We're just gonna go to the chill out tents with the sprinklers. You kids behave. We'll check back in with you." And Angelic Upstart set, like whatever. And it was, it was fun.
That's
But
lovely.
yeah. So enjoy the show tonight. Run the Jewels is on that too. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, my
Oh.
other favorite band. I can't believe they're touring together. I will just die of happiness.
I'm a little envious. I'm happy for you. That's freaking awesome. Enjoy the show. And
Thank you. Maybe
yeah,
they'll make West Coast appearances. Maybe.
usually when they do LA, because at least Tom Morello lives here. I don't know where the rest of the band lives, but at least Tom Morello is here. Usually they'll just do a couple nights in LA, just either at the beginning or at the end, or just randomly because it's like that's
Yeah.
just so.
I'll
So
tell
yeah, who
them. I'll
knows?
make sure to
Never
tell them
know.
tonight to come see you.
Be like, go to Los Angeles. They'll be like, we've heard of it. We'll take this into account. But
My friend Ron would like to go to your concert.
I've
So,
never seen Rage Against, and I've never seen Run the Jewels either. I've never seen either of them live. I've seen, I've gotten to a fair amount of shows in my life, but Rage is one of those bands. Never, yeah, those stars never aligned for me.
worth it. Well, when
I
you
believe
get
it.
8 months pregnant, Ron,
That's when I'll go.
and you're a ball, you should
Yes,
go.
and I will hopefully get my like a nice seat too.
Yes.
I'll be like, is this the ball hotline? Where do I call the ball customer support group?
Exactly. Yep.
That should be one of the automated choices. Like, if you are a human ball because you're growing a person, press star. And then you're like,
Star.
all right, we got a seat for you. Boom.
Yep. No other people will jump against balls.
So let's start. I got a little bit of good news. Guys, you know that I have been nose to the ground. That's not the right way to put it, but I have been very, very, very dedicated to antitrust summer. And as you guys know, there are two antitrust bills floating around Congress right now that would really rein in big tech. You can go to antitrustsummer.com. I'm not going to go through all the ins and outs of all of them. We've been covering it on this show for weeks, and I'm sure most of you are like, please don't do the summary again, Ron. I'm not going to. But go to antitrustsummer.com. I know you've signed, right, Lauren?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Very important. Very disappointed in Schumer for dragging his feet on this.
Yes. Yeah. He was dragging his feet. And then, of course, there was some discouraging news because they're in August recess, which, of course, Congress has earned it. They work so hard. They deserve, all the resources. They just had one in June. They have another one. It must be nice. But they are in recess. So we didn't get the vote before the August recess like he promised, which we really thought we don't get it before the August recess. They're just going to let it fall by the wayside because they're going to be like, oh, we're focused on midterms now, blah, blah, blah. Here's a little bit of encouraging news, folks. And of course, we're not out of the woods yet, but a little bit of encouraging news. Schumer says antitrust bill will be brought to a vote. And that is from a couple days ago. Well, more than a couple days ago. This is from about a week ago. But basically, they said after the August recess, Senate Majority Leader Charles Schumer plans to call Amy Klobuchar and Chuck Grassley's antitrust bill to a vote, according to the spokesperson for the top Democrat. Senator Schumer is working with Senator Klobuchar and others to gather the support and needed votes and plans to bring it up for a vote. Now, this is kind of BS. Now, the spokesperson, however, did not provide a timeline for the vote, but they're saying Klobuchar commented it should be in the fall. He committed to a vote in the fall, so it would likely be September or something like that. Now, according to two Reuters reports, they got the votes for this thing. But Chuck Schumer, he has a daughter who works for Amazon, and she's a lobbyist. He has another daughter who works for Meta. He has a son-in-law that I think just got involved with some other big banking thing. He has tons of conflicts of interest, especially when it comes to big tech. So that's the real reason this thing has not been brought up for a vote yet.
I was gonna say, like, what are these extra few months? Because we know that there are the votes there, in a bipartisan way. Actually, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. Usually when I hear the word bipartisan, I kind of cringe because usually it means one of the two parties has a shitty idea, the other party's going to help them sell said shitty idea.
Yeah.
But every now and again, you see legislation where it's like, yeah, this is actually good policy. And look, the public loves it. It reigns in big tech, and people across the political spectrum are annoyed by big tech. People on the
Yes.
right, people on the left. Now, their reasons are different a lot of the time. A lot of the time, if you lined up like me and like a libertarian or something like that, we're both going to be pissed off about big tech. Our reasons will likely not be the same, but we both agree they have too much freaking power and they're annoying as shit. And that's putting it
Yes.
gently, you know?
Those are good reasons. I think that everyone can agree on that. And also recently in Nebraska, Facebook gave private DMs to police in
Oh
order to
god.
help incriminate a teenager that needed an abortion. So Meta is no bueno,
No.
and we should absolutely make sure that they can't get unlimited power forever.
And can I also mention too? I mean, I know this is particular to Facebook, but this is why please don't get a ring cam. Please don't do it. There are other options out. If you want a camera at your front door, or whatever, I get it. People want that. It's a useful tool to have. I get that. Please avoid Ring. And I know it's hard to do. I know it's hard, but there are alternatives out there. What does Ring do? Ring shares databases with law enforcement. So basically, they're helping law enforcement surveil every neighborhood in the freaking US. Bezos does this, Ring does this. And this is why that's a really bad thing. This is why it's a bad thing when big tech cooperates with the authoritarian state, because you see instances in Nebraska where they're giving over DMs of someone trying to get an abortion.
Yeah, terrible.
So a little bit of encouraging news there. A little bit of encouraging news on the antitrust bill. Again, this is good legislation that starts to break up big tech, and the future of the internet is at stake here. Sometimes people ask, they're like, you spend a lot of time on digital rights. Yeah, I do. Everyone should. You know why? Because the internet is a prominent tool in our lives, and they're trying to take it just like they took everything. They took radio, they took TV. I don't understand why people don't realize the internet's just another medium. Yeah, it's different. It's more vast. It's going to be harder for them to rein it in entirely, but they can do it. And it's already starting to happen. And it's
We
up to
shouldn't
us
make it so easy for them to just sell all of our personal messages and data and everything about us.
and just dominate the landscape. I mean, it's like we're in almost all of online commerce happens through Amazon or Google. Almost all of it. So
Yep.
it's like they already have a near monopoly. This is not what the internet was intended to be. So we can either break it up via antitrust legislation, which, and a friendly reminder, this antitrust legislation would be the most significant antitrust legislation since the 1980s when they broke up AT&T. And that was important. We got cheap long distance calling and modems and answering machines because of that. So you could say, well, I don't like Chuck Schumer. I don't like, yeah, I don't either. That antitrust legislation for AT&T happened under Reagan. Sometimes you can get good antitrust legislation even if you don't like the leadership. In fact, that's often how it happens.
Yep. Yep.
So, man, all right.
I'm going to
Antitrust stuff.
credit you when it goes through, Ron. We're going to
Oh,
credit you,
I appreciate that. I mean, there's a lot
not
of
Chuck
people who've
Schumer.
been working hard. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, Fight for the Future put those video billboards in front of his house, and I guess he finally noticed one or both of them. Because according to his spokespeople, he supports the bill. He's just worried the votes aren't there. It's like, okay, well, there's two different reports from Reuters say the votes are there. Amy Klobuchar says the votes are there. Chuck Grassley are saying the votes are there. Chuck Grassley's Republican who's saying we got enough Republicans in both chambers. We're going to pass this thing. He's a Republican saying that.
Yep.
Josh Crawley supports this freaking thing. Everyone from Josh Crawley to Bernie Sanders supports freaking thing. So yeah, there's a lot of bipartisan support.
TikTok, Schumer.
You think he's on TikTok?
Uh, it, Probably, but not him. His
Right.
interns.
His interns. Man.
He'd be like, "What is this?" I doubt he knows how to copy and paste, to be honest. So
He sits there with his like glasses hanging down low, like kind of looking like, so what is this video about? Like with his like
yeah.
his like
What is
glasses like something out of the 40s.
he'll and then he'll tap it and it'll pause and he'll be like, "It's stopped." Yes. Yes, Senator. You just paused it.
Although, I mean, if I'm being honest, I still have so much to learn about TikTok. I still don't fully understand all of it. My wife loves it. She loves watching that stuff. And I'm just like, so they just keep feeding you stuff? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how do
Yeah.
they? She's like, yeah, I don't know.
It's unlimited. And also the more you use it, which is bad, the more that the algorithm knows what you like. So right now I'm like drag queens playing video games, cat content, and like some political stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty much into a place that I really love.
My wife, she was like really interested in Italy stuff because like we've been talking about Italy. We're gonna go there for my cousin's wedding. So now, like, I'll get confused because like she'll be on her phone and I'll be hearing Italian a bunch, and I'm just like, are you finally trying to learn Italian? Like let's learn together. Like let's get better together. And she's like, no, it's just TikTok.
Oh my
So she'll have
God.
like all this Italian stuff on her TikTok, and it's like she's gonna like naturally start being better at me that it's speaking it just because she like watches all that stuff.
I love that. I love see, and TikTok is so niche that like there's a whole TikTok section dedicated to like watching Italians eat Olive Garden, stuff like that. So, I love that. Watching Italian grandmas like eat Olive Garden
I've heard
lasagna.
about that. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Amazing.
That's so funny. Yeah, I still have a ton to learn from it, but
It's unlimited. Whatever
yeah,
content you want.
whatever you want, it's just there and it's instant and it's like a minute long and it's a weird world for living in. I actually got this idea where I'm like, someone needs to do a TikTok movie. They need to just do a movie on TikTok
Oh
where
my
it's like
gosh.
it's just one post at a time, but it's a movie.
I like it.
I don't know how one would go about it, but
Let's do it.
all right, let's think about how something like that could possibly work. I mean, I guess it would be at most 3-minute increments, right? Because 3 minutes is the max.
I think they upped it to 5 because I was about to put a 5-minute video on, which seems like a horrible idea
In that
because
case,
you get punished for people not watching to the end.
okay,
But
okay,
whatever. It's about
right,
putting your content out there, right?
right, yeah. I don't. Well, if it's 5 minutes, that makes it a little easier. I mean, you think like a mini pilot is between 12 and 15 minutes, so you could kind of tell a story in like 2 videos, even if it's
Yeah.
like, all right, now I'm thinking. All right, anyway, we gotta
We'll collab.
back into Get Your News On with Ron mode. All right, here is some encouraging news. I wouldn't say this is good news or bad news. It's encouraging. It'll motivate you. You'll want to fight. Towanda Starbucks workers, they walk out. Now, this is in the Tonawanda, I think is how you say it. That's in the Buffalo area. I almost said Boston. Great. It's in the Buffalo area, New York. Starbucks Workers United has filed an unfair labor practice charge against the company, saying this is the 9th union leader in Western New York to be fired. So a union leader was fired. Starbucks workers in Tonawanda walked out in protest, and they have done this for multiple days. A video of the walkout has more than, that's a pop-up that's annoying, has more than 1.5 million views on TikTok, ironically enough. That was a natural, man, I should have made that pivot better. That was a
It was great.
natural,
I
like,
found it very natural.
well, let's watch the video. I got the video here teed up. So
Great.
this is the video of these workers walking out. And for the podcast listeners, you'll get the audio here. And there they go. That's all the workers walking out.
Love it.
Wow.
I love it.
And that manager was just standing there. Because the manager, now I would imagine the manager, and I don't know for sure, but I would guess the manager was handed instructions from above, but I could be wrong. Maybe the manager made that sole decision. I don't know. But either way, these workers were like, "We're done. You fired our union leader unjustly. We're walking out." And
I
they've been
love
doing
it.
that multiple days.
Oh my gosh. It's great. I love seeing like emboldened, empowered workers all over the country. And it started with just one branch.
Yeah, I mean, it started with one branch and then it spread. And keep in mind, all of these concessions Starbucks is making, and they're trying to pit the workers against each other. Like they're trying to say, well, if you unionize, we won't do this for you, which, by the way, is illegal, and the labor board is cracking down on them for that. So they're trying to do that, but it's not working. You know why it's not working? Because the workers realize that the only reason they're making these concessions is because people are unionizing. They're realizing that. And,
Yep.
and so I hope, I mean, it expands to a new store. It seems like daily. I mean, you can follow More Perfect Union, Starbucks Workers United, like follow those accounts on Twitter every day. They're reporting another store. I mean, when it first started on this show, we covered pretty much every store because it wasn't as now it's with such frequency we couldn't do that because we'd be having I only do the headline show once a week, so there'd be like just a list of stores every week to go through,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love that.
which is fantastic.
It's
It's
a
freaking
good
awesome.
problem to have.
It's a fantastic problem to have, and you got to keep in mind here too. There is a difference between when you actually strike and when you just threaten to strike but don't follow through on it. We've seen that happen. A lot of times your concessions are a lot less. And so it's like you gotta deliver. And Starbucks, these workers, they are delivering. They are united, they are delivering, and now they're walking out in unison, which is huge to be able to do that when you have to.
I love it. And they're setting examples for people all over the country, not just at Starbucks, but in any cafe or setting like that.
I feel like there's something in the coffee world. Maybe it's just because people are caffeinated, but I feel like there's something in that world that really brings about solidarity because you're seeing stuff
Yeah.
like this. You're seeing Starbucks kicking ass and taking names, the Starbucks workers, not Starbucks the company, but Starbucks the workers. And then you see like I want to say it was Rhode Island. If anyone in the chat remembers, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it was Rhode Island where those people gathered and freaking bought the coffee shop. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh,
Did you hear
yes.
about that? Yeah,
Yeah.
like they just their manager or the owner was just like, I'm gonna cut this and that and like I'm gonna sell because you guys want this. They were like, okay. They
Okay.
bought it from the guy and formed a freaking workers co-op. There's
I
some
love it.
I feel like if we're all highly caffeinated, we're gonna freaking really unite and form a general strike.
I
That's
love it.
gotta caffeinate.
Yes. Okay, I love it. I love all of it. And this is very positive news. This and the fact that it looks very probable that all your hard work on antitrust will pay off. Both very good things.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So let's switch gears and knock ourselves down a few pegs, Lauren, and let's get some bad news. All right. Like
Why?
let's get some rough news up in here.
All right.
I'm real excited that you're on the show today because you and I have talked about our cities and like you live in New York, I live in LA. So we have the two biggest cities in the country represented, and we also, talk about the struggles that go on in those cities.
Mhm.
And you guys had your local elections recently where a cop became mayor.
Yep.
and I'm just like, I hope that LA doesn't follow your lead.
Please don't. It's as bad
Well,
as it
we're not,
sounds.
we're not, we're not doing great. I mean, I don't know how much you've paid attention to our mayoral race, but the runoff is upon us. The person I supported in the primary did not make the runoff. I supported the lefty candidate, Gina Viola. She didn't make it. She did a great job with everything that was against her, but it's gonna be Karen Bass or Caruso. Caruso is he's Trump, like he's Trump, and
Yeah.
Karen Bass is very pro cop, and so it's very rough. I mean,
Why?
yeah, I mean, so we're I
Those are
mean,
the two options you have?
those are the two options. Now, I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of Karen Bass, and she is making it very, very difficult to even hold one's nose and vote for her. But Rick Caruso would be a level of danger that I think would be completely abysmal for this city, because he's going to do what Garcetti has been doing, which is making a playground for his developer friends. He's going to do that times 11.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they're working on recently, which is what we're going to be talking about here, is an ordinance called 4118. Now, 4118, I covered it on the show last week. It is an ordinance that the way they dress it up, the way they sell it to people, is that it's about homeless individuals not being able to be at a school, basically, which is absurd.
A school?
Because yeah, like they're saying, like, oh, well, it just means homeless people can't be like outside of a playground or a school or
Oh,
something like that.
okay.
Which first of all, obviously that's not all it is, because if that was all it was, who would be opposed to such a thing? If it was as simple as, well, you just don't want homeless people on a playground while kids are having recess. Oh, okay, let's back up a little. You shouldn't want anybody who is not authorized to be there on a playground when kids are having recess. Why does their housing status even matter in
It's
this
true.
scenario? Like, that's absurd. Like, what, you're gonna see some guy walking by like, hey, creepy pants with the trench coat and the lollipop in your pocket. Do you have a house? Yeah, I have a house. Oh, you could stay then. If you didn't have a house, we'd be worried. But since you have a house, you're fine. Obviously, that's not what this policy is. What this
Yeah.
policy really is it criminalizes homelessness using schools as kind of a benchmarker. But when you do the math, which Kenneth Mejia did, who is running for city controller here in LA, when you do the math, it criminalizes over a quarter of all of LA, where you basically can't be homeless. They'll just brutalize you, they'll chase you out, cops will be cops to the homeless. So this is going to funnel more money to cops. This is going to allow cops to brutalize the homeless, which, let's be honest, they love frickin' doing. And here's what else this is going to do. It's going to allow more shenanigans that people Okay, I think we might be back. Lauren, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, I think we're back. Okay. All right. So I think there might be. So if that happens again, just to give everyone a heads up, um, I think that there's some brownouts in my neighborhood. That's likely what's happening. I think because I don't know if you noticed, but there was like a little flicker, which I just thought it was like a flicker, and then the internet went out.
Mm. I
Uh,
thought I froze.
no, like it was like a little flicker and then the internet just kicked and I'm like, "Oh crap." So yeah, let me reset a few things here and sorry about that everybody. And Lauren, thanks for sticking around.
Of course, I am here. Also, I was like, is this meta? Because we were talking bad about them.
Right? No kidding. So, yeah, all right. So I'll just pull up some of the stuff and then we'll just kind of like get back into it. Yeah. So basically what happens when you demonize homelessness like this is um they'll just they basically use houseless people like pawns, right? They just push them into different areas. Now here's why people in local government who are corrupt like that. What they do is they'll sell stuff in a given neighborhood. Let's say like Mayor McDouchebag goes to some entity. It's either in the state or it might be a foreign entity, whatever it is. And they say, "Hey, you should buy all this property in North Hollywood." And they say, "That sounds like a good idea. We're going to buy this property." Give them a bunch of money for the property. They're like, "Coolsies." Then all of a sudden, they happen to make sure all the homeless people get pushed into that area. They don't tell anybody about it, but they push all the homeless people there. And then they go to that, oligarch Bagoo, and they go, "Ooh, bummer. It's not working out. I don't know why. We did everything we could. Tell you what, I feel responsible for this. Let me buy this property back from you. I'm not going to pay what you paid me, but I'll take it off your hands." So they still made a lot of money in this scenario. But Oligarch Bagoo's like, "Yeah, fine, fuck it, whatever. I'm still making tons of money elsewhere. Take your property off my hands. I don't want the headache." And they go, "No problem." Then what they do, now that it's theirs again, they push the homeless somewhere else and they gentrify that neighborhood. Rinse and repeat. That's what Eric Garcetti has done as mayor of Los Angeles. That's what Rick Caruso is itching to do should he become mayor of Los Angeles. That's what. Why do you think a billionaire is looking to be a mayor of somewhere? Wait, what, you think he needs the gig?
Yeah, reminds me of someone we had here pretty recently too.
I know, and they do that same shit. I've gotten comments where they're like, "Well, that's Los Angeles." They do that in San Francisco. They do that in New York. They do that in Washington D.C. They do that any city where they can get away with it. They do that same shit.
Yep.
This isn't unique. So here's what happened in regards to 4118. They had a hearing on it. Protesters pretty much shut City Hall down. So they had another vote on it. And that vote happened this past Tuesday. Of course, they passed it. Only 3 people voted against it both times. Rest of the city council was for it. And here's some of the stuff that happened. I want to share this. Shameful day for Los Angeles. This is referring to Tuesday. LA City Council passed the 4118 amendment to massively expand criminalization zones, but they had to do it only after sending an army of riot cops. I read that as robot.
Wow, but
I feel like either works.
yeah, I was gonna say riot cops aren't necessarily better.
Yeah, right. Riot
Yeah.
cops to clear the unarmed public from the
Wow.
city hall chambers. They literally were clearing the city hall here. I think I have a picture of it too. Like you see these guys just armed to the gills, and this is just a city hearing, like a
Wow.
city hearing. And here, I think this is a picture. This is from People's City Council. So here, check this out. Look at that. Those are all zip tie handcuffs.
Oh
Look at
my
that. That big. They
gosh.
have this big bag of zip tie. That's just what they went in to prepare for.
Oh wow.
That's what they went in to prepare for. And here, I want to share this video. So this video is quite a doozy. This is my councilman, Councilman Joe Buscaino, who, thank goodness, is leaving soon. He's not up for re-election. He's leaving. We have 2 candidates right now. Either one of them will be better than him. I'm actually undecided myself, but I hope to have each of them on the show before November.
Oh,
All
that's
right, so
lovely.
check this out. Check out this video. This is Mitch O'Farrell, a city.
Here. Okay, so you've been ordered to leave quietly,
Hold on,
Mr. Reedy.
let me start it from the beginning here. So there's a protester, and this protester has a baby with them.
So noted. You are out of here. Okay, so you've been ordered to leave quietly, Mr. Reedy. Please do so now. And he's still shouting in the middle of an adjourning motion. Okay, sorry about that.
Do that again.
And he has a baby at that. All right, please let's resume this adjourning motion.
I'll DFS on him.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow is right.
Oh my gosh.
Call DFS on him. That's what he said. He said that at a city hearing in a microphone.
Wow. It's just like, where's the humanity? But I guess I have to stop asking that about elected officials, unfortunately. But yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, in the fact that this guy was just so, and you could hear the moment of silence in the room. Like you could hear everyone go like, holy shit, did he go there?
Yeah.
But nobody confronted him. None of his colleagues were like, hey, we all know you're a racist dickhead, but could you not be a racist dickhead on microphone? Could you maybe try to maybe, I know you're leaving in a few months, and I'm sure some of the people in your district are thrilled. I'm one of those. But, if you could, I mean, it's unbelievable. And then later, the other guy made this speech where it's just like, this isn't the People's City Council. This is LA City Council. It sounded like a villain. It literally just sounded like Lex Luthor. and how freaking gross is the whole thing where it's just like, oh, we're just trying to civilly allow cops to brutalize the homeless more. We're just trying to civilly pass a policy to beat the shit, to allow cops to beat the shit out of homeless people even easier than they already can. And you guys are just being angry and disruptive. You're disrupting democracy.
I'm still stuck back like 20 steps ago where like if there's a creepy dude just hanging out like on the monkey bars while kids are playing, the cops will be like, do you have a home?
Yeah, right. If you got a home, it's fine. Well, that's just, some people believe that's honestly what this bill is. Like there's some people like, oh, it just doesn't let homeless people hang around. It's like, you say that out loud and realize how ridiculous you sound. First of all, you're implying that other unauthorized people are just allowed to randomly hang out on school playgrounds.
Yeah, that's just Ted. He hangs out with the kids at recess.
Yeah, we're not concerned at all about
He
Ted.
has a home though.
Yeah, he has a home. You know who else? Jeff Epstein had a home, folks.
He did.
That guy had a home.
He had multiple very large homes.
He had a couple. So, yeah, obviously that's not what this bill is. And the fact that so many people were just, I mean, and I got trolled that way. Like I got trolled like when I was covering 4118, people were like, oh, I guess you're fine with homeless people at playgrounds. So I'm like, are you really?
Maybe
you
just
really
like
believe that? Like,
maybe like no unauthorized adult should be hanging out with children without knowing them and having permission.
They work there. If they don't work there, they shouldn't be there. That's a no-brainer. So let's talk about what this bill really does. Let's talk about what this bill really does. It demonizes homeless people in nearly 30% of the frickin' city, which is going to make it easier for real estate developers, authoritarians, and cops to just beat the shit out of people, which we all know they love doing. That's what this bill is. And only 3 members of the city council in LA had the courage to call it out for what it actually was and to vote against it. 3 out of 15.
Why help suffering people when you can just beat and arrest them, though?
It's so much easier, right?
Yeah. If you just really, I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around it because it doesn't make sense to me or you. But I'm guessing there are people that just like really enjoy hurting people. I don't understand. Yeah. And that's who comes up with stuff like this.
There's people who really enjoy hurting people. There's people who are just grossly ill-informed about this thing and have no interest in correcting the situation. You know, I mean, whatever it may be. And it's just, you know, it's sad to see LA go in the direction of, like we're not learning from your guys' mistakes a few months prior. We're going, and I think the lesson to be learned here is don't look at things like, oh, well, that's just New York, meh, that's just LA, meh, because we all have our sets of problems. Are the problems different if you're in LA versus New York? Sure, there's some differences. There's also a lot of overlap. Is it different if you're in LA or a rural area? Sure, totally. But guess what? We all face the same shit. You're in oh, well, I live in a rural area. None of that stuff applies to me. You might live in a freaking food desert. You have other problems.
Totally.
I mean, everywhere in this country has their problems because there's a systemic disease going on right now that is capitalism in our freaking world. And in particular in this country where it is turned up to freaking 11. So
yeah, I also think like LA and New York, if we're both like going down the tubes with capitalist overlords, like that's a bad sign for the rest of the country. We're supposed to be trend setting in the opposite direction. So
which is so sad to see that like
yeah,
we're not leading by a good example.
yeah.
Like it's like we're going backwards.
Mhm.
And I mean, there are some reasons to be optimistic here in LA, and I'm sure there's some in New York too. We have had some decent primary showings of progressive candidates where I do think city council is going to look different come November. And Kenneth Mejia will likely be the next city controller. That's going to be huge. So we do have some people coming up that have real viable chances at victories here, but we're still outnumbered by a lot. We're still outnumbered by a lot. And we're not, we're either going to get a mayor who is even worse than what we have now, or a mayor who I think will be slightly better, but is still not the mayor we need. I mean, and those are our choices. Either like, well, this won't be as bad, but, or it's going to get even worse.
Yeah.
So that's tough. I mean, that's tough. I mean, especially when it's like the world right now is aching for true leadership. It really is. And that starts right in your backyard. And this is a lesson. This is why fucking local politics matters, because this is the shit they want to get away with.
Yes.
And when there's citizens that are paying enough attention that they're shutting shit down. Now, keep in mind, I mean, how democratic is it that 15 people, most of whom are at the mercy of real estate developers because they're either friends with them or developers themselves, they get to make this decision. Meanwhile, community members are shutting it down, demanding it not happen, and it happens anyway. How democratic is that? Not at all.
Yeah. It's true. We're having not a similar issue, but like in Astoria, Queens, which is where I live, there's a huge real estate developer that's trying to turn 2 acres of land in Astoria, which we don't have a lot of extra land in Queens, but they would kind of demolish 2 acres and turn it into high rises with a not very significant percentage. Basically, the bare minimum required by law would be affordable housing, and the rest would be terribly expensive luxury apartment rent. And the community board voted against it. We just got the borough president to vote against it by like begging him on a town hall, and he listened. But now it goes to the city council and the mayor, who can override everything that we have done. So yeah, it's, man, the local battles are so important. We're seeing that with starting unions at single branches of Starbucks across the country, but we're fighting hard for that. I know you're really active on the ground in LA. We're fighting against this luxury tower in Astoria, and those local battles really matter. So if there's anything like that in your community that you're able to dedicate time to wherever you are, it really does matter. And that kind of change and people coming together at the local level to stop big development and corporate greed at that level trickles back up. So keep
Well,
keep at it, people.
have you noticed in New York that there's a lot of like, because I've noticed this in LA, and it's one of the things that really does give me hope. Have you noticed like a lot of young people are really in tune?
Yeah, I love it.
And when I say young, I mean like 20s and in some cases even younger than 20s. I mean, I was at this event recently, and there was someone there who was 17 years old, and the ages ranged from 17 and to like older, like definitely like boomer generation, so that and everything in between. There were people my age, people younger than me, people older than me, and you know I saw there was one guy there. He was definitely young, probably early 20s. He had a Kenneth Mejia hat on, and I'm just thinking, like, man, never in my life would I think that there's going to be a 20-year-old wearing a hat for somebody running for city controller. When
Yeah.
would you ever imagine something like that? I mean, it really is inspirational shit, and you're just like, man, this next generation, they are kicking ass and taking names, and man, we got to get them in charge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. If we just hand Congress to the Zoomers, I'd be happy.
I'd be all for it. Oh, I'd be all for it. As a millennial, I'm like, we'll just skip our turn. You guys take
Yeah.
over. You
We're
guys take over.
still we need to heal. I'm okay being the barrier generation
Yes.
between like unhealthy toxic energy, and we really graduated into bullshit, recession after recession and crisis after crisis, and most of our life we've been in wars. Yeah, I think the Zoomers just they have a different level of they're able to act better than us, I think. So let's do
Well,
it.
they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. They don't have a choice. Like they had. I mean, yeah, we definitely had a lot of bullshit, but we're just old enough to remember the way it was supposed to be. We remember the world that we were promised, and at
Yeah.
the time, that world existed. Then we got there, and that world didn't exist anymore. And we were like, oh shit, well, it'll exist again soon, I think, right? It's got to, because it existed before. I mean, the authorities wouldn't lie to us, would they? The world that we were probably, it's somewhere, right? No, it's not. Zoomers, they don't even have room for that amount of doubt.
Yeah,
They,
it's
they're
true.
just like, we were never promised shit. We never saw shit. All we know is recession. All we know is war. Fuck this. Fuck capitalism. We're done.
Yeah.
And
I really
yeah,
love yes, it's so true. If you haven't seen the movie Eighth Grade by Bo Burnham, it's amazing at illustrating because like the main character is flirting with her crush in an active shooter drill.
oh,
It's just like so normal for them to practice getting shot at by a mass shooter.
is that
That's just their
something?
life.
Is that something you think about more now? I mean, you have a baby on the way. Do
Oh
you think
yeah.
about?
I do. Yeah. I mean, um, luckily and unluckily at the same time, New York, our public transit system is not accessible. So there actually was a mother that died falling down the stairs of a subway entrance with a baby stroller.
Oh my God.
So I am not going to be doing that. Pretty much staying put and not using public transit like right after the baby comes for as long as we can stand it. So yeah, I mean, it's luckily people with strollers aren't welcome. People with wheelchairs, crutches, anything, we're not really welcome in the subway system. So we're just kind of screwed. So I guess subway shootings won't happen to me during that time. I know.
This is encouraging.
Yeah, that's like yeah, no, I if if you haven't noticed, my TikTok, I have some pretty dark humored comedy videos about how I feel about mass shootings. I am in a constant state of mourning. And I I would really like us to be able to make change before I send my kid off to school.
Oh yeah, no, I can only imagine. Well, all right, I got one more story, and this is also a cool story. This is an example of a community win. We're talking about community stuff. We're talking about things where the community, it's difficult because you're up against the corruption, the real estate developers, and stuff like that. But there's still a lot you can do. And one of the issues I'm very passionate about is municipal broadband. Municipal broadband is city internet, where your city controls your internet like a utility, like running water, basically. Places that have municipal broadband get better quality internet at a better price because your community is in charge of it, and we all want decent internet instead of some big for-profit cable company that doesn't give a shit about you and is based who knows where. So this happened in rural Michigan. Check this out. Man who built ISP, which, by the way, shout out to my buddy Ken for posting this story, and that's what brought it to my attention. Man who built ISP, instead of paying Comcast $50K, expands to hundreds of homes. So this happened in Michigan. This is a guy named Jason Mach, who seems like a fun guy to get a beer with based on this story. I don't know anything else about the guy, or excuse me, Jared Mach. Jared Mach, the Michigan man who built a fiber to the home internet provider because he couldn't get good broadband from AT&T and Comcast. Okay, so here's what happened. The U.S. government allocated, this is the county he lives in Michigan. It's called Washtenaw County. They allocated $71 million for a variety of infrastructure projects, and the county devoted a portion to broadband. The county conducted a broadband study. Now, they were requesting RFP proposals. RFP is a request for proposals from different contractors or just community members. Mm-hmm. So this guy, like, he knew they were looking for proposals. He's just a member of the community. He reached out to Comcast and said, hey, will you have internet here? And they were like, that'll be $50,000, please. And he said, okay, never mind. So what did he do? He bid on it himself. And he ended up getting the entire freaking thing. So here's the quote from him. They had this gap-filling RFP, that's request for proposals, and in my own wild stupidity or brilliance, I'm not sure which yet, I bid on the whole project in my area and managed to win through that competitive bidding process.
I love this.
Dude, how cool is this?
This man is a hero, an all-American hero.
So he basically was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And they had money for it, and they were like, okay. So he built freaking fiber, and now he services hundreds of homes. His network has about 14 miles of fiber, which is top-tier internet. He'll build another 38 miles to complete the government-funded project, so he still has money left. And it's going into, I have at least 2 homes where I've built a half mile to get to one house, and noting that it will cost over $30,000 for each of these homes to get served.
Wow.
And it's $55 a month for 100 Mbps with unlimited data. $55 a month.
Oh my gosh.
And he was able to do it. I mean, it's like, that's the thing. Internet infrastructure, of course it costs money. I mean, you're looking at the $30K number. Of course that adds up. Like it's not, but you can do it way cheaper than how these big cable companies charge you.
Yes.
They price gouge you, and they don't invest in infrastructure anyway. No. So you're just getting nickel and dimed. But
maybe if they didn't spend so much money on lobbying, they could charge us less money.
No shit. No shit. Yeah. So this guy is just doing it himself. And he's connecting all these homes. That's amazing. And that just shows you, again, like, does it take some political will? Yes. Does it take some know-how? Yes. But there's organizations and contractors all throughout the country that specialize in this type of work that are ready and willing to help you. So this can be done in any community in the country, big or small. And as somebody who has tried to get municipal broadband in all the neighborhoods I've lived in the past 6 years or so, and always I'm told, oh, I don't think we could possibly afford that. I don't think we could possibly do it. You don't think we can do what one dude in frickin' rural Michigan was able to pull off? He found this funding. He ended up with this project in his lap. Now everybody in his area has top-tier fiber for $55 a month. You don't think that could be replicated in San Pedro or Astoria or anywhere? It frickin' can.
Oh, my gosh.
It can.
You should get him on your show.
Yeah, I know nothing about this man except for that he did this. Like I know nothing other than this story. But yeah, I'd be curious to get him on the show and just be like, okay, walk me through each step. I mean, it's like in the UK when there was that group of farmers, they didn't like the broadband available to them, so they just got their tractors one weekend and they laid their own freaking fiber. They just laid the fiber themselves. I mean, it really is inspirational and it's freaking awesome.
I love it. I love it. I hope more people do that across the country. How fun.
Yeah. So, hey, making your neighborhood a better place. It's a good place to start. It really is. We'll go to the super chat real quick. Venetia David, what is up? Good to see you. I hope all is well in the UK. Speaking of the UK, and I can't wait to see you when I tour over there next year. And you say, hey, Ron, so good to see you on the RBM network with JB. It was a great conversation. Thank you so much for that. I always love chatting with them. Yeah, JB and Nick was on that show as well. And, I go on Jay's show sometimes. It's Savvy. Always love chat with all them. Rome. Always love chat with Rome. That guy's a very, very fun conversation. Yeah, it's always a blast. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that conversation. Lauren, where can people go to learn more about you?
Well, I'm still at Vote Ashcraft on Twitter, which will haunt me forever since that's my verified name and I have to keep it. Don't vote for me for anything else. But also TikTok. That's probably the most fun place that you can find me. So if you have one, check me out there.
Lauren Comedy on TikTok. Right on. Well, enjoy the show tonight. I'm a little envious.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. I will definitely tweet about it. Yeah, I'll be tweeting from my very own private little section for people that can't jump around.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, enjoy the show, and yeah, I can't wait to hear all about it.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
I guess next month we'll see because you might be a little busy.
Yes. I'm due at the end of the month, so we might sneak one more in.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Well, good seeing you, and enjoy the show. And yeah, of course, we'll be in touch as always. Everybody follow her, Lauren Comedy on TikTok, Vote Ashcraft on Twitter. See ya. All right, y'all. Okay, sorry about that internet outage, but we got through it. Venetia, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. You help keep the show on the air. And also, I'll mention real quick before we sign off here, September 10th, I am premiering my new show. It's a historical interpretation of Lucian the satirist. He was a writer and philosopher who was around in 125 AD. He was basically in between the ancient Greeks and the Renaissance. Well, there's a lot in between, but he was among the in between. I'm doing a historical interpretation of him. That's September 10th, 2 p.m. It's an outdoor show at the Corner Store in San Pedro. That's my neighborhood here in Los Angeles. It is free. And then hopefully I'm going to be bringing Lucian to Renaissance festivals in 2023. That's the big show I got coming up. And yeah, I'll be announcing 2023 stand-up tour dates very soon. If you want to support this show at the sustainability end, best way to do it, patreon.com/Rob Lacone. For a give what you can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content. You can watch my mini pilot loner. There's full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. There's patron streams every week. And I'll make you a theme song. Makes an excellent gift. And that's all for a give what you can level. I don't have tiers, TIERS, on my Patreon. Everyone gets all the same stuff no matter what you give. It's a hell of a bargain for $1 a month, folks. So please, if you are able, if you will not miss $1 a month, patreon.com/Ron Placone. If times are tough, I totally get it. But, if you got an extra $1 a month that you won't miss, or whatever the currency is in your country, patreon.com/Rob Lacone. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Go follow Lauren. We will be back next week. Thank you for bearing with me through the power outage. That's not the first time that's happened, but it's first time in a while. I don't know if it's the heat or what. We'll see if it happens again today. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being here. And you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow, and I say peace, love, and a general strike. See you next week.